to a lounge, those sorts of benefits. And then again, the actual products received or the physical facilitated goods is the trip itself. Were the seats okay? Was the service on the plane okay? All of those types of things. Did he actually get there without batteries catching fire or something like that? The Qatar, by the way, has got the best plane that I've ever flown on. I'm giving a rap to the 787 Dreamliner. It's still the best plane that I've ever flown on in my life. And I think it should come out of grounding globally in the next couple of days. There's one thing that I don't want on my plane. I'm Australian, so I like my barbecues, but I don't want my barbecues when I'm flying 30,000 feet in the air. I prefer batteries not to catch fire. So, no smoking, no barbecues. So there's the service product bundle, and it's not just about the service, it is again about this whole service model that we're talking about, that all three have to be in place to get customer service, to get customer satisfaction, I should say, at the end of the day. The customer satisfaction is really what the quality is about, and will allow you to go back, or force you to go back and use that supplier again. But so often we forget one or the other. And again, it's the weakest link. It's the weakest link that will fall down. Everything was great, except one thing, and that's what you concentrate on. I had a coffee maker. This is 2 weeks old, this story. I had a coffee maker. It's a Crux coffee maker. I bought it in Carrefour in Al-Ain Mall. 2008 was probably the first thing I ever bought in Al-Ain. It's worked perfectly for 4.5 years. And then it started to leak, and I thought, I think I need to give it a service. And there is actually a Crux service division in Dubai. And they were fantastic. They were cheap, relatively cheap. They did a brilliant job of servicing. It's like a new machine again. So what could be wrong? What could be wrong with that service? No, I actually live in Dubai now. No spare parts they had. Everything was absolutely correct. One small thing. No, I had to take it to them. That's to actually deliver it to this service organisation was a nightmare. They gave me a map. You ever tried to get to anywhere in Dubai? You don't know exactly where to go. I drove past this place 3 times. I could see it, but I couldn't get to it. And there it was. And then I drive around for another 10 minutes. I'll come back, okay, well, if I didn't take this one, maybe if I take this one. There it was. I drive around this way for another 10 minutes. It was a nightmare to get. So what do I remember? I don't just remember the great service that I got or the effect at the end of the day. I remember how difficult it was to actually find a place. When I went there to pick the thing up about 3 or 4 days later, I knew how to get there. I knew how to get there. And my wife was when they said, wow, you really went there. How did you know that? I said, I've been around here many times. I knew exactly what to do. So again, it's small issues like that you need to consider when you're talking about this service bundle. Otherwise, it was an absolutely fantastic service, and they did everything right. And did I tell them to my sins? I didn't tell them, well, maybe we should get a better map, better location, or whatever. Fast food restaurant, fast and accurate service, the food itself, the interactions with surroundings. Those particular examples, if you go to McDonald's, nothing anybody goes to McDonald's. McDonald's, the food itself has changed, has it not, over the years? You're now getting relatively healthy stuff at McDonald's. At least that's what they tell me. But the surroundings are all the same, regardless of whether you go to McDonald's in Singapore or in France or in it's in the US or in the UAE. It's the same process. It's all done in the same way. And the interactions, the surroundings are the same. So what about the following? The dental services. I put this in because for some reason I have lots of dentists in my LA class, all from Tuam Hospital. So I put this in, dentists, what would you do to get a bundle in dental services? Surely you've all been to dentists. You know what a dentist does? It hurts you. So what we're actually saying is service is like the least amount of hurt. Is that how you measure it? Well, it hardly hurt it. It hardly hurt. You know, and that's good. But the circumstances when you go to wait, when people ring you up, maybe we should go for a car service for this particular one. Car service is when you get rung up and say, are you ready to come in today? Is this okay? But again, I have a car dealer who looks on bottom end to give brilliant service. You know, I always get them a cup of coffee, television there when I wait. But there's some things missing. And for what I pay for my car, I should get more. You know, I should get a lift to the shopping mall or something while I'm waiting. So those types of things, you have to think, whatever industry that you're in, how can I enhance the value? How can I enhance the value in one of those three, the tangible, the physical goods, the psychological? How can I enhance that service that I'm going to give my customer? At the end of the day, you want that customer coming back. So the interaction between customer and service organizations can be low contact, as in ATMs, or IKEA, or high contact, as in dentistry, hairdressing, or consulting. In any service industry, the moment of truth is when a customer comes into contact with an employee of an organization. And that is the make or break moment for customer satisfaction. When you are there talking to an employee of the company. So this is extremely important to make sure that 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 employee knows that that is the make or break procedure. But how important it is for that employee, every employee that comes into contact with with a customer needs to appreciate just how important that role is. We don't train people enough, generally, throughout the world, not just UAE. But generally throughout the world, we don't impress on people that come into contact with people just how important their role is with the ongoing success of the business. Empowering employees in this way, I knew I had this, that's right in there somewhere. Empower employees by using transformational rather than transactional management techniques may be most useful. Now, I'd better explain to you what the difference between transformational and transactional is. Or if anybody wants to go, feel free. Yes? You're pretty close. Yes, that's pretty close as well. I summarize it in this particular way. And for time, I'll just give you my version and see if that fits in with yours. Transactional is that I tell you as employees what I would like you to do. This is the results that I want. And I reward you based on how well you have followed my instructions. This is transactional management. Transformational, on the other hand, is for me to give you an objective and you just carry on. Now, I've given you 3 objectives, A, B, and C. Yes? And you come back to me and you've done A, B, and C. I say, well done. Well done. Good. Good work. But if I say I want this in a general sense, and I think it can be done on A, B, and C, I don't just tell you it can be done with A, B, and C, and this is what I want. I tell you a general, overall perspective of what I want and how you could get to it. But if you come back to me with A, B, C, D, E, and F, that's transformational. Transformational means that you have the choice about how you do it. And you use your own minds of thinking, well, what do I actually have to do here? I don't just have to do exactly what somebody has told me how to do. What do they really want out of this? Is there anything extra that I can do that makes more sense in a transformational way? Now, it is a leadership style. It is a different way of thinking about leading people. Rather than just saying, you know, I want this, you give it to me, well done, that's it. But this is the end result that I want, you do it your own way. And it's more transformational. It is this belief that the people that are doing the work do have something to contribute on their own. That they're not in fact robots. That there are people with brains who can contribute to the overall solution. Transactional rather than transformational. And it is about empowerment of employees, to allow them to do those sorts of things, to allow them to go further with what they would have normally been asked to do. You're going to come up against this particular form in another course, I feel sure. There's a global trend to reduce the cost of service by requiring customers to self-serve. In Australia, we have filled our cars with petrol for 2 decades. In the UK, there is an option to bypass checkout operators at supermarkets by scanning your own groceries and bagging them yourselves. IKEA stores sell furniture in flat pack form throughout the world, which the customer needs to assemble, and also ask you to clear your own table after eating in the IKEA restaurants. Yeah? Why are those options not generally used in the UAE? Why, for example, does the UAE give the option that we'll deliver and assemble in flat pack? It's the only place that I know where you have that option. IKEA generally, throughout the world, says, this is a flat pack. You build it yourself. And I actually enjoy the struggle of actually doing that myself. And it usually is a struggle. But in this country, no. It is a cultural thing. We have to understand that different people have different needs and do things in different ways. Who's filled their own petrol, a tank of fuel with petrol? Well, I'm going to run out of petrol very quickly when I'm in France or the UK. Because nobody's going to come out to do anything for me. I'm going to have to do it myself. I have to tell you, after coming back from the UAE, the first time I went back to Australia, I sat in my car. And my wife said, what are you waiting for? I said, I'm waiting for petrol. And then I realized nobody was going to come up and help me. How'd I go? Okay? Yes, you know ADNOC. ADNOC actually put in the system of... it was an experiment, was it? It was a test. How long did it have? How long did it go on? 2 weeks? Was that all? Yeah. Didn't work too well. Didn't work too well. So, again, what is the point of trying to put in a system that is not compatible with an existing culture? In operations management, you're not trying to change culture like that. You have to appreciate what the culture of a marketplace is and apply that with your own strategies. So operations managers have the responsibility of getting the job done. Whatever that job is defined to be. Asking us to keep on coming back and using your hotel chain again, you must make sure that there is nothing within your system that has the opposite effect to that. As my snipping of my Marriott card, my Marriott loyalty card in front of my car showed, getting the job done. This is in addition to the usual management responsibility of planning, organisation, and control. They must provide the leadership to produce the product or service demanded by the customer. When we're talking about how excellent our advanced planning or technology, misalignments can occur in technology, infrastructure, or even the reward systems that we are faced with. So this came out of one of my favourite authors, Dorothy Amanda Barton, Wellsprings of Knowledge. To overcome these problems, a concurrent marketing, engineering, and production approach is suggested. I said at the beginning here that operations management is not an isolated function on its own. It has to work with marketing, engineering, and finance. It has to work as part of your overall system. I need an example here. I need these three guys here. Three guys here. Could you just give up just a second? 1, 2, or you're in the middle, so 2 here. This is a system that I thought it was a great analogy. You stay there, you stay over there, and right between. Now, usually, this is a relay race. This is my relay button. This is one of these examples where you do things as an individual function. First function. I pass it on. I stop, you carry on. You pass it on. That's another function that's finished. That's a relay race. Each of our individual functions are done separately. One more, guys. All together now. Yeah. Face this way. We all go together. This is a rugby team. We all go together. That's it. And that's the difference. That's the difference of great. Thanks, guys. So again, it's the rugby team approach of all moving together. The finance, the marketing, the production, the engineering, all together. A concurrent approach rather than an individual approach. You know, I do something, I pass it on to somebody else, then somebody else adds something to it. So the challenges for the operations manager, and operations managers do face great challenges. They simultaneously need to coordinate the functional areas of marketing, financial decision making and accounting, human resources, purchasing and inventory, product design and engineering, distribution, research and development, legal, and information systems. And information systems in particular these days with technology. We'll talk about more about again next week in following weeks. But that's some great challenges. So why would we be interested in studying operations management? Simply because all businesses want to hire right people who can make the best decision for the business as a whole, not just the best marketing, the best finance, or the best operations decision. We have to think in an enterprise perspective. As every decision is cross-functional, you'll always need to work with operations and understand operations, no matter what specialised career path you choose. You all need to know how the operations management, not just in manufacturing, but in service industries as well. The future of operations management, and that's the end of this topic, the last slide. There is the impact of the internet, which we will talk about in week 3, a little bit next week as well. The introduction of integrated supply chains and enterprise resource planning of enormous potential benefits to any organisation. We have more knowledgeable and demanding clients because they also have access to the internet as well. You know, when we buy something these days, I don't know about you guys, but when I buy something, I may not buy it online, but I know that I'm going to actually go online and find out more about it. before I buy, it gives me more power. It gives me more information about the buying process. So your clients are going to be just like this. They're more knowledgeable. They are more knowledgeable about what it is that they expect. The ever-increasing rates of change, including technology and business models. You know, the business models that Dell brought out, Dell computers, that brought out, 15 years ago. The model that HP had, Hewlett-Packard had. Marvelous business models. Now, you know, HP have gone from hero to almost zero in less than 2 decades. Their stock price is way, way down. Their market share is way, way down. You know, a business model does not last indefinitely in this game. And technology, the rates of change on technology frightens even me. I'm close to that technology side. So understand the rates of change and how we need to change our perspectives to match those rates of change. Because if we don't change, our opposition is going to as well. Our competition is more intense. You know, just have to swim faster than the shark. And the global markets and operation strategy in a global economy. Again, more and more we need to think of our operations more as a global strategy rather than as a national strategy. And one thing, I will actually mention this. I always put my references up. Yes, you've got a lot from the book, but you've also got additional things that are not in the book. Everything that's in the book is referred to, but there are some additional ones. So if I'm going to mention it in one of my slides, then I try to put it up there as well. There's Hammer and Champlin Re-Engineering Corporation, Michael Porter's Competitive Advantage, and of course the 1911 Scientific Management book from Frederick Winslow Taylor. Is it okay if we don't have a break for this particular topic? We're going straight through it. And this fits very nicely into that last slide. From topic 1, we discussed the need for organizations to regularly adapt their strategies in order to compete effectively in today's high-tech global environment. As operations manager, strategy specifies how this is actually going to occur. An integrated cooperative approach between all functional areas, especially marketing. That's our rugby team. It's one gone sick. It was too much exercise. One's gone already. Will be fundamental to successful strategy implementation is how we actually do it. We talked about the theory, we talked about what we need to do, but how we're actually going to go about it. So corporate strategy involves determining the organization's overall goals. As an example, Walt Disney Productions considered itself simply in the business of making people happy. That's not a bad vision to have, is it not? Making people happy. Business strategy follows from corporate strategy and defines how a particular business will compete within that marketplace. How are you actually going to do this? An operations strategy should then be connected to that particular business strategy that you have selected. But if you try to do any one of these without linking it with the other ones, then you're going to get a misalignment. Regardless of how well I'm producing my 1.44 megabyte floppy disk drives, it doesn't really matter. Nobody wants them. You know, it's a bygone era. Oh, I should have actually put in Innovators Dilemma. I didn't use it in the slides. In today's dynamic business environments, as the business world becomes more competitive, firms must find their own path to sustainable competitive advantage. You need to find your own path, whatever it is that you do well. Effectively managed operations are important to that firm's competitiveness. This is a term that was used in the, I know it's in week 3, and I explain it more. It's a term called inside looking out and outside looking in. Inside looking out, outside looking in. And it is a strategy. It's a strategy that identifies how you can see the outside world and make decisions for your business based on what the outside world is doing. But it is also about the outside world being able to look in on what you are doing, on what you are actually able to do. Because people know more about your business than they've ever known in the past with the internet. Some factors are macroeconomic rather than microeconomic. We can't do much about interest rates as an individual running an organization. We can't do an awful lot about inflation. And currency exchange rates make an enormous difference to our profitability at the end of the day. If we have set a strategy about exporting to, let's see, Japan, the exchange rate has changed dramatically. I'll use another example. When I came to the UAE, I get paid in dirhams, which is essentially US dollars, of course. So we'll talk about US dollars. US dollar against the Australian dollar was, the Australian dollar against the US dollar was 70 cents. So one Australian dollar was worth 70 cents. Is that right? Yeah, 70 cents US. Yeah. So I could buy an awful lot of Australian dollars. So when I repatriated my small but meager salaries to Australia, I was getting a lot of Australian dollars. But over the years, the Australian dollar has appreciated enormously. It is now, the last time I looked, which was probably this morning, 1.03. 1 cent, $1.03. So that is an effective rise in the Australian dollar of 40%. 40%. Which effectively means I get 40% less in Australian dollar terms than I did in 2008. No, the salary is just exactly the same. Don't complicate matters. Don't complicate it. If my salary had been the same, I would be 40% less. So if you imagine you were in business and say that you were happy to get a 10% margin on whatever you were producing. And suddenly, for no reason of your own, the exchange rate changes by 40%. And this is happening, of course, with China's input. It's happening at the moment with the Japanese yen. People that were buying Japanese cars now can buy Japanese cars infinitely cheaper. But there are all sorts of implications, especially the Chinese yuan. The Chinese yuan, which the US says is overvalued, and I don't want to get into that debate. But undervalued. It's allowed China to export into new markets, or at least make inroads into new markets, which they may never have been able to get into before. Now there's some issues with China and domestic production, or domestic consumption, I should say. Some factors are social, cultural, such as changing buying patterns and disposable incomes, as in China, which is the second largest economy in the world. Some are competition-based, such as how likely a competitor is able to influence your marketplace, and how is your organization perceived in the marketplace. All of these factors come into it, and it's not something that you can directly have an effect on. Some are internal, some are micro, but some of them are macro, and the macro has enormous effect. So, let's take my example. See how the investors are out here. If I can't repatriate my money because the Australian dollar has gone up, so what do I do with my money? I spend it here, I could buy here. Anything else I could do? Invest in? But in what? Gold, but gold is really a staple. It's not going to be any strategic advantage if you go into gold. It's a good safe one. In where? Yes, but yeah, okay, you're on the right line. This is what I did, but what do I do? What precisely do I do? If you know that one currency is going down and you can repatriate in that currency, what would you naturally do?
Change it to the other.
What sort of currency do you think I should change it into?
Australia, if you know that the Australian dollar is going up, so you should change it back to the Australian dollar.
To Australian dollar? No, it's already up.
It's already up. So keep it.
US dollars? Well, it's in US dollars to start with, I think. Yes. But is there a better way? How can I make more? This is your decision. How do I make more? Excellent. Which one's that?
Euro.
Absolutely. Be strategic. Say, but at the time that I need to spend money, invest money, it's way, way down. You're absolutely correct. You will look, I mean, because you have no influence on the Australian dollar going up, you say, well, okay, that can either be a threat or it can be an opportunity. Something else has gone down. And the euro is doing even worse. I don't think it's the Australian dollar going up. I think it's the US dollar going down. You have to find something that says that the US dollar that's going down faster than the US dollar. And the euro is that. So, in my particular case, if I was a businessman, I would be changing my marketplace as the French manufacturers are now doing, Renault and Nissan, all trying to get into China. It's all owned by the same, all run by the same guy, by the way. Renault and yes, Charles. So, and effectively what I did is I said, I can now buy a nice property in France for virtually half, 50% of what it would cost me 5 years ago. I'll show you a picture of my new house next week. Come early next week and I'll show you a picture of my new house in France. And that's precisely what I did. In 2007 that would have cost me $1 million, and today it cost me 500,000. Sorry, not today. Last July it cost me about 500,000. Today, well, it's gone down slightly, but again, it's I'm still doing pretty well because I've still got an asset that's in euros. So again, we need to be creative and need to look at the opportunities. But these things can't be done overnight. You can't change facility locations. You can't change strategies overnight. You have to think about those things and be flexible enough that you can actually change over a period of time. But open up your options. It is a global environment. Think globally. Don't just call yourself global, but think global of all of the things that we can do. So often do we think, well, you know, I'm transferring from US dollars into Australian dollars. Ooh, woe is me, woe is me. Well, be creative. That's a threat, yes, if the Australian dollar goes up. But look for an opportunity where something else is going down. And this brings us on to SWOT analysis, which I'm sure that you would all have done. And if you haven't done it before, you are going to do a SWOT analysis before you finish this MBA. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The fundamental objective of a SWOT analysis is to identify those trends, those forces, those conditions and the factors that will potentially affect the formulation and implementation of your organization's 3 tiers of strategy: organizational, business, operational strategy. The external analysis will result in a list of opportunities and threats that you are faced with, but the internal analysis will result in a list of strengths and weaknesses. Again, I go back to this outside looking in, inside looking out. which hasn't normally been linked to SWOT analysis. The critical success factors you need to identify from your SWOT analysis. It's also referred to as competitive priorities. They are the elements of an organization that determine its strategic success or failure. They may include factors such as quality, economy, performance, or special local needs. Understand the culture within an organization, within a country. Understand what those special needs may be. Why one particular organization is good within one country because of some local needs. But it's critical success factors. What makes your organization special? How do you stand out from the organization? So what might be the critical success factors of these automobiles in the UAE? The Yaris, the Lexus LX570 and the McLaren P1. Are the critical success factors of these automobiles the same in France? There you are. That's a McLaren at the top, by the way. I've actually never seen one. It's only brand new. I've seen plenty of the Lexus LX 570s.
Yeah,
Yes. And the Yaris?
yeah.
So why would you buy Yaris? Why would people, if you were marketing Yaris, what would you sell it for? Speed? Economy? Space? There's more space in there than in a McLaren P1. Yeah, that's right. Ability to park. The fact that you would be not afraid to park in Abu Dhabi and get it scratched. Yeah. So there are lots of reasons, but you have to understand what those reasons would be. Also, this particular Yaris, this particular version is now hybrid. And understand in the US, a lot of people are taking hybrid cars now. The Toyota Prius, which you cannot get in this country, is electric and gas. You do get them in Australia and big sellers in the US. But the Yaris, and I'm not sure which version you get in the UAE, but that is also hybrid of some form. And the P1, McLaren, is it luxury? Oh, McLaren luxury. No, the Lexus is luxury. Speed. Sporty. Prestige. Okay, so there are all reasons why we would understand what our competitive nature is, or what our big selling points are. Competitive strategy for each of those. And in this country, we would have all three, would we not? There are examples that we could sell Lexus LX570, which is probably the biggest market in the world of 570s. Probably the biggest market for McLarens as well. The only country in the world that ever advertises McLarens on the radio. Oh, come and buy a McLaren. This is a couple of million dirhams, and they advertise on the radio. Very specialised. But, and also Yaris's as well. So what about France? Same?
No.
So why wouldn't you buy a Lexus LX570 in France? Fuel consumption is a local factor, is it not? What do we pay? 180? 1 dirham 80 for fuel? That's the blue stuff. 180?
180.
How many people know? we just give them 100 dirhams. Sorry? No. Yeah, just throw it up and just give them money. Don't even think about it. But let me assure you that in France, you look at the price of fuel. Because I think it's about 5 times as much. 5 times as much. So an LX 570 to get from here to LA would cost you maybe 50 dirhams in fuel. But it would cost you 300 euros in France to go the same distance. And then you think in different terms, or do I really want a Lexus 570? What do I do with 560? So you think about it. Think about your markets. The great example of this now is the biggest growing market, which everybody wants to get into, is China. China wants to get desperately, people want to desperately get into China because things have changed. The big movers were those people that had the facilities already in place. The people, the operations managers, the organizations that were proactive rather than reactive. Proactive rather than reactive. Didn't wait for everybody else to get into the marketplace and say, oh, that's a good marketplace. We'll get in there as well. They were the followers. The people that are really making the inroads in China at the moment are the people that saw ahead what was actually happening in China. So, and again, we talk about this next week as well. Different writers have proposed various alternative strategies that can be adopted by organizations. And Porter argues that a choice of 1 or 3 strategies is appropriate for any given business. There is a cost leadership strategy, a differentiation strategy, and a focus strategy. The cost leadership strategy is to be the lowest cost producer. It almost becomes a commodity item that you're on. If you're on a commodity, then price is your primary concern. It can be achieved through economies of scale. It can be that cost competitiveness can be achieved through technological advantage, the access to raw materials, and efficiency in the operations. All of those can lead you to being a low cost or the lowest cost supplier within the marketplace. Then there's a differentiation strategy, how an organization can stand out from its competitors. What special features do you have within your organization that makes you different from others? It's another strategy that you can adopt. And then there is a focus strategy which involves concentrating on a particular buyer group, an area, or a product market segment. Where does the McLaren fit into that one? It's a bit of two, really, isn't it? It certainly differentiates, but a McLaren doesn't differentiate itself particularly from a Conseg, for example, or the top of the range Ferraris, or Bugatti Variable. Those things. So a focus strategy is actually focusing on one particular market segment. Am I going to buy a McLaren? You think so? I'd have to find a place to park a McLaren in France as well. No, I certainly wouldn't be in that particular marketplace. Although I like my sports cars, it's certainly not that particular one. Neither would I be going with the Lexus 570. How many people drive Lexus 570s in the desert? Actually, there are people who do that. Yeah. But they're 500,000. 500,000 plus. And you take it into a desert. It's scary. Yeah, but it's luxury. It's certainly luxury. France is a bit short of desert, I have to say. So that might be difficult. But the Yaris is again quite popular. Why is it not as popular as, say, Peugeots or Renaults? It's again a cultural issue.
But Toyota 4-wheel is also not only Yaris. Toyota 4-wheel also, if it is a competitive related to Lexus, it will give the same option but with a lower price. So
yeah.
According to the positions.
Yeah. So again, understand where you're going and understand that your strategy, when we're talking about a global environment here, may not actually be global. We may have to get various versions of our products to fit in various markets if we think in global. Global is about thinking global, not about what's best for just a particular market. which is why Toyota is not particularly well. Toyota, Yaris, and Lexus are sort of almost from the same factory. Did I say that? I didn't mean to say it in that way. Lexus is based on Toyota, but you certainly wouldn't compare. It's not what I'm trying to do. Compare a Yaris with a LX57. Get out of that one very quickly. Here's the risk of competitive strategies, of each of those strategies. It's very difficult to maintain cost leadership. Competitors can imitate you, which in fact is what the Americans accuse the Chinese of doing. They've copied people's ideas. And this is why you can get a UA. Yeah, maybe much cheaper. Technology does change, other bases can erode. Take a look at Dell and the Hewlett-Packard. Differentiation still can't be sustained. Competitors can still imitate that one. And the basis for that differentiation becomes less important to buyers. I know that I have a car that has pretty good economy, even though it's not supposed to be an economy car, but I still get very good economy out of it. 20 years ago, that, number one, the economy part wouldn't have been that relevant, but everybody else's cars seems to have been more successful these days, more economical. If you drive in Britain, for example, diesel cars are very, very popular because, again, of the price of fuel. The way they design cars now, and it is quite frightening when you get into a car and you pull up at the traffic lights and it stalls. You know, the engine goes off. Anybody driven one of those? You know, it intentionally goes off. When the traffic light and the engine goes on. It's a new type of technology that the European cars have actually come up with. It says, yes, it's supposed to stop at a traffic light, but as soon as you put your foot on the clutch again and put it into gear, the thing will start. So when you're waiting in traffic, the engine is turned off, which, you know, again, is making expensive gas guzzling cars be more fuel efficient. And the fuel efficiency on cars in the UK is quite remarkable. Some Volkswagen Golf Blue or something, which I was getting 60 miles to the gallon out of a normal diesel powered Golf, which is incredible. 60 miles to the gallon. You're lucky to get a third of that. It's no good for Shell, but you know, things change. Our proximity is lost if we differentiate by being really cost effective. So you should be aware that no single strategy is guaranteed to achieve success or maintain over time. So you have to be aware of where your strategy is and how you need to change that strategy over time. We've done that. Over time, McLaren, Lexus, and Toyota may well change their strategy. There will always be a need, I don't know quite why, there will always be a need for somebody to travel at 400 kilometers an hour. Because that's what the P1 does. Or to say that they can travel at 400 kilometers an hour. Maybe that's all that is required. How do you believe?